Could I ask a little bit
That's very
about that? I
different.
asked this before the
Sure.
show, but I
Oh
think it would
yeah,
be really
sure.
interesting. You say you are teaching a lot of international students. Where are international students that are studying in China? Where are they largely from?
Sure. So yeah, many of them are from different African countries. Some are from Pakistan. We have a few from India. We've had some from Canada in the
Mm.
past, Indonesia, Vietnam, uh, Thailand as
So
well.
your
Yeah.
class is in English. There are also local Chinese students in your classes as well, yes?
Sometimes. So the PhD ones, that's an English taught program.
Mm.
So they in the past all physically come. Here it's kind of a mix now of a hybrid. But yeah, I have taught actually Chinese students as well. Usually it's STEM activities, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And I'll actually have an actual 4 credit class for education students this spring where I'm teaching them STEM education. And I may or may not have a translator. We'll see.
Well,
Sometimes I do, sometimes I
I've
don't.
heard
So
of
we'll see.
STEM,
Hmm.
about
Mhm.
science and math,
Science, technology,
technology.
engineering, math.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you hear
Mhm.
that a lot more these days. But what is STEAM? That's something new,
So
right?
basically, it's the same. It's just it incorporates art into that as well.
Oh, good.
Um,
Mm.
and just a lot of the activities can lead to some really cool art activities and design activities.
Mm.
You design that bridge before you build it, kind of thing. Or, let's. One of my favorite art ones I decided to make planets to scale. So I've got these. You can't really see my hands. There we go. It's like these giant, massive planets because Earth is like this
Right.
big. So you get to see how big
Do,
Jupiter
do you go
really
out to like
is,
a
and
Mm.
football
then I have the kids
field or
color it.
like to measure the distance between them?
Uh, I haven't done that yet. I would consider it, but a lot of times I'm not allowed to, put any kind of markings on fields or sidewalks. So I would, if I had my own school, I would totally
Maybe you
have
could
that
get like
playground painted.
cones, you know? You
But
would
yeah,
just put cones.
yeah, I've done some things with measurement on that. Yeah, like I shown them how big the sun would be at the scale
Oh,
we
wow.
had.
So,
It take multiple
yeah,
classrooms
we
and stuff.
can't
It's
build a
crazy.
sun,
So yeah,
guys.
yeah,
And
exactly. Like
usually,
this is why I didn't do
I've
this.
seen
Yeah.
pictures of that, the scales of different planets, and usually the final point is, do you see how tiny the Earth is? And and then
Oh, I
how
know. Yeah,
even
yeah.
tinier we actually are, so don't feel too great
Yeah.
about yourself or too
I
important.
saw a picture of Earth from Voyager from about a year ago, and it was
Uh,
like a
where
dot, like
is
a
it?
tiny, tiny, faint little dot.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you live.
But even that little dot, it takes
Yeah.
so much effort for us to take better care of it. I mean, that's just how I guess
Oh, I know.
our
Yeah.
conversation started. And actually, another piece of news I saw about Chongqing, because of the drought, there in one of those rivers, 3 Buddha statues were revealed because the water level went down, and literally like a little
Yeah, I saw an
island.
article about that
I
too.
saw
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
it
too,
came
yeah.
literally
Yeah.
came to daylight, and then there are like 3 Buddha statues on there. And it's not just in China, but Chongqing this year, especially with the heat waves and all. But I also read that in Rome, there's this ghost village that came out from the
Oh,
water
really?
because
I hadn't caught
yeah,
that
it
one.
was
Yeah.
like entirely submerged, and now it's wow, a whole village because the water went down.
Yeah.
And other places, I think.
I'd heard in the U.S. there. Yeah, there's one in the U.S. there
Yeah.
too.
Great for archaeologists, bad for
Yeah.
everyone else.
I know. It's pretty
Indeed,
serious.
indeed.
Yeah. We were
Yeah.
just talking about environmental issues and climate change the other day, Jason and I. And I think this is
Oh,
also, it's getting closer to more of us. Maybe in the past, if
it's a
we,
big concern.
Well, this
Yeah.
fire that you helped build a wall, or what was it called? A
Fire
line. A
line?
fire line.
Mm.
Is this something that happens regularly, or is this something that's happening because there's a drought in that area?
No, this was totally because of the drought. As far as I know, this is the first forest fire that, anyone in at least this generation has experienced
Wow.
in this area.
yeah,
So, it was a new one. It was a new one for
because
them.
when it comes to droughts,
Yeah.
like we know that western parts of China, it's that's like the dry area. And when you think of droughts and
Sure.
fire,
Yeah.
mountain fires, I wouldn't think of Chongqing,
Mm.
right? It's that there's
Yeah.
plenty of
We were having
water.
floods,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
floods in the
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
But with climate change, a lot of things start to go wacky. and the
Yeah,
severity
yeah, it's a
of
big concern.
things. So I guess it's another wake up call that's really getting closer and closer to us.
Especially
Yeah.
with all the heat waves.
Hope
I
it
saw
does.
I saw a
Yeah.
graphic of California. It's supposed to be 4 or 5 days from now, where parts of Northern California will be 118 degrees Fahrenheit. And I remember some
Funny.
hot days when I was a kid, and like 110 was like the peak of heat, and during the like middle of the summer, for it to get to 118 degrees for even a few days, that's just
I think
unbelievable.
that's
almost.
beyond our human limit almost, because I think that's 40,
Well, just stay under
47.
the tree, right?
But
We
even
we
that,
were
yeah.
we were like about 116 this summer a few
Wow.
days. Yeah. And in fact, the day I was out was I think 116
That's
that
like
day.
over
Yeah, I think we
40.
hit 118 one of those.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah, it was we were setting records in Beibei for hottest temperature in China this summer for several days. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty bad.
Ice water. But the
I was
thing,
just joking
Yeah.
because he said Bebe.
oh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, anyhow, but I think in the past, maybe when we talk about weather change or climate change, you think about it's going to be a little hotter. But now we see that because of the rising heat, it leads to other things, other consequences. So it's not just about I'll
Oh
just
yeah.
stay indoors where there's air conditioning. Other things will start to happen because it's not just our tolerance levels. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
okay,
Well, I wanna
it's getting
I
it's
wanna-
sounding
I
a
wanna
little
switch
sad
to
again.
something more positive.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
You went up there, and there were hundreds of volunteers, right? Total, and doing
Oh,
different
yeah.
things.
Yeah, there were.
You were on a chainsaw team. What were some of the other teams doing? Like just helping?
Uh, so some were loading supplies onto trucks. Some were moving them to other staging areas. Some were loading the supplies from the staging area onto motorcycles or other trucks or what have you, just whatever they had on
So
hand.
there are literally hundreds of heroes as well, including
Oh,
yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was just a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of this whole thing, and yeah, I mean,
And then
when the day even finished, I was like, it almost felt like I hadn't done much at all, and it's like
and then
then
like
it turned into
I'm
this
the one
giant thing.
in the
but-
news.
Yeah, and then
I know. Well, yeah, there was just there were so many other folks that just did. I mean, there was. I mean, you got the motorcycle drivers who, I mean, they're giving up their jobs. Instead of delivering, they're delivering packages for free,
so the
basically,
entire
in a
community
much more
sort of
dangerous
came
setting. And
together, and
oh yeah,
Who
yeah.
organized
Well,
this,
I got to
though?
meet the other. It's kind of the local community, just volunteers through there. Maybe with just a little bit of government authority, and then they just kind of kept going from there. Then the military came in pretty much the day I was there, and that they started taking over aspects. And then there was more firefighters from other provinces who came in as well, and I think they kind of took over with the military as well.
See, that's the thing. When we watch news about floods or any kind of such natural disasters in China, we will see the military coming in.
yeah,
And that's
With
like
the
when things
earthquakes, you immediately see the military
yeah,
coming in,
and
to help
especially
people.
like almost yearly floods. And it's really very touching to see them because these young soldiers, they're like 18, 19, 20. They're still like
Probably most of them,
kids in a way. But they're the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
going into frontline. And there are always these scenes on TV of the locals, like the moms and dads, and they're cooking, like especially in the summertime, cooking pots of like mung bean soup or their homemade buns, and they send them to the young soldiers. And at times like that, you feel the sense of connectivity and the sense of unity that we're all doing this together. And maybe it sounds cliche, but still, I still become very touched by that, and I'm still happy that in these days when everybody just want to work harder, make more money, higher status, that we can still have moments of this, even though sometimes it's the dangerous moments or tough moments.
Hopefully
But
no
it
one was
reminds us
hurt.
that we're together.
No one was hurt in this fire. Yeah, were there?
Nothing serious. Yeah, I think there were some injuries on site, but nothing life-threatening, which is fantastic.
Because
Yeah.
I guess
yeah.
things moved pretty fast.
So
Right.
how
Yeah.
long from when the fire started to when it was extinguished what was that period like?
Oh gosh, it was less than a week. I couldn't give you the exact count. I mean, I guess maybe ballpark 5 days ish,
Wow.
give or take. But honestly, for a forest fire, though, that's relatively
Yeah,
quick to
it is
knock it
pretty.
out.
Does-
I mean, by American standards, it's pretty
Yeah, when
quick.
there's a fire in
So
California,
that
it's like a
was-
month-long
yeah,
event.
yeah. Oh,
Is
yeah.
it because you
yeah.
guys are so used to it?
I
Because
think
you
it's
know that
because
it's gonna burn out?
usually
or-
when it starts, it's in a dry area already, and so by the time it gets out of control, it's so massive, and it can just spread in every direction. They bring firefighters from Nevada over and Oregon and Southern California. They surround this thing, and but I think where you're living is closer to a rainforest type of environment.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
California, it's super
along
dry
those
in the
lines,
summer.
yeah.
Like it's like you can
Yeah, all
literally
the
pick up
time,
a pine
yeah.
off of the ground and it snaps in half, like a pine needle. So like it's extremely volatile.
Yeah. I wanna ask, does your daughter know about your heroic event? Like, Daddy went up the mountain and
A little
fought the
bit there,
fire.
yeah.
How did
yeah.
she feel about it?
yeah, no,
Was
it's a-
she worried,
Yeah, it's
Well, all
scared?
daughters think their daddies are heroes, right?
Oh, geez,
know,
yeah.
really?
But yeah, but it's a pretty good feeling to know she feels good about it. But yeah, I don't think she realized. I mean, and again, ultimately, I wound up not being in danger, but I mean, I would have been. But no, I mean, she wasn't too worried about it. She was with her mom, and I think it was just like, Daddy's going to help out, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
and I
Oh, go ahead.
she wasn't
no,
too worried about it.
I read in the report that you were actually planning on going closer to the front line, but then at that time,
Oh, I tried.
Yeah.
yeah.
but then
I
you were
tried.
Were you
I tried a
dragged
couple
back
times. Yeah.
because of the danger?
No, I wasn't dragged back. No, so there was a commander in charge at that point, and first he gave me the excuse like, well, you don't have long sleeves, and I'm like, well, I've got stuff in the back, and then
I have
so
everything.
I waited a minute till a few other people with short sleeves were going in, and I'm walking in with them, and he's like, no foreigners, and I was like, okay, fine. So,
Aw.
well, I mean, honestly, there's hundreds of people, all walks of life. I can't blame the guy for a minute. It's like I'm having to talk through a translator for the most part. He doesn't need more craziness up there. I mean, for all he knew, I was just some YouTuber trying to get a video or something. But
Aw.
yeah, it's I can't blame the guy at all. I mean, it's like no problem. I just said
Mostly
make
for
Wanchi
safety
and
concerns.
turned in my chainsaw and stuff. Yeah, I mean seriously, and it turned out there was even people in my chainsaw group who didn't know how to use a chainsaw. It turned out he's confessing later when he wrote it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, but
What?
I mean, it's just not a toy. It's
Yeah,
very
it's
dangerous.
extremely dangerous.
Well, because
Oh.
they just asked. They said, "Who can use a chainsaw?" And if you volunteered, you could get one.
I've-
So by the time we were loading,
I've
for
not
that,
used
so,
a
yeah.
chainsaw, but my father also was in construction. They did housing construction in California, and they built thousands of homes. And I use skill saws often to just cut 2x4s, 2x6s, and things like. And skill saws are insanely dangerous. And now I've seen them harm people. I don't want to go into the stories. It's not going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
fun for the radio, but
Body
I've
parts.
seen them harm people. So
Yeah.
my father always told me, well, skill saw is extremely dangerous, but chainsaws are more dangerous. And I was like,
Oh,
so
that
Oh, yeah.
It's just a giant thing with a huge spinning blade on the front of it. It's extremely if you're going to use it, you need to know exactly what you're doing.
You have to
like
be
the weight,
trained.
which way that. Could you actually tell us a
'Cause
little bit about how to use
I
a
think like you were
chainsaw?
like kind of
Sure,
pushed back
sure,
because
yeah.
of the force of the chainsaw, so you need to be
Give
in
us- well,
control.
give us a mini lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, well, I'll give you kind of the same lesson I gave a couple of my colleagues. So they were there and like, well, you could teach us. I'm like, well, I'll explain a little
spot.
bit and see if you want to do this. So I explained first, like how you'd cut down a tree. You cut a wedge and kind of aim it in the direction you want it to fall, and then you cut I'll try to get up here, and then you cut the back end, and it will fall, ideally right where you want it. So that was the first one. They're like, okay, this is great. And then I go, well, the next one is, you see the round end. You never let that touch the end of the edge of the wood because it can kick back. So I'm using my hands, and they're like, oh, because we're talking, yeah. I'm like, and you always cut from the side. You don't do
So
it
if
right
it
in front of you
kicks-
because even if it doesn't hit the end, it can kick back. And they're
Oh,
like,
no.
okay, I think we're done. I'm like, good. But I mean, it's not something I would have volunteered for if I hadn't done it before. It's just, it's not a toy. It's as far as power tools go, it's probably about the most dangerous one you can get without a license.
That's why
there,
there are
so.
terrible movies
Yeah, it's
named
pretty-
for the chainsaw.
Yeah, that could happen too.
There's no
yeah,
like
but-
protective
I
shield
mean,
around the blade. It's just
well,
a raw
we
blade.
didn't have a lot of protective gear either. I mean, usually in the U.S., your head, you're getting your sound, to keep the sound out, and safety glasses, and maybe even a helmet if you do it all the time, kind of thing. But yeah, we're just like going for it. But yeah, the thing it is, if people aren't experienced with it, it wouldn't take much to hit a friend nearby or even yourself, just setting it down. And it does some. If it can cut through a tree trunk, it's
Yeah,
it's gonna
human
cut through
flesh
your
is
body
not.
pretty easy
Okay.
too. So, yeah. So
All right.
Maybe it
yeah.
looks
So
really
anyhow.
awkward.
Thank you for the mini lesson.
Yeah.
I've never
Oh,
thought
well,
about
there you go.
chainsaws
Well,
before this.
well, yeah. Well, and you got to think too. You're gonna be chainsawing even at night with just
Oh,
a headlamp. So
wow.
that could be an adventure in itself
Well,
too.
maybe with
So
the
yeah.
fire in the background, that'd be a slightly more
Well,
light.
Possibly, yeah, but yeah, they probably had you a little further
Yeah,
away from
yeah.
that too, though. I don't know how much light you'd have,
so
but
I guess
yeah,
the
but
firefighting
still,
would
anyhow,
be 24
yeah.
hours, right? For people fighting, literally.
Oh yeah,
fighting.
oh
So they're
yeah,
like on working,
definitely.
sleeping shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pictures of like the firefighters and military folks that just kind of conk out for nap time and back to it. They just have to go in cycles, just nonstop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets like that.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. Do you want to talk about the statue?
Oh,
Oh gosh. So, I don't think I'm supposed to talk about it too much though, but there's talk about it. We'll just say that there's talk there that maybe some of the local participants there might be something in
statues
the near
of
future on that.
Dr.
So
Dr.
Stonier
Stonier.
on
we'll
campus.
see. We'll
Oh
see.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. So they're talking about it. Yeah. So we'll see. We had a meeting and they're kind of
That would
working
be
on
really
it. But
fancy.
we'll see.
So-
We'll see. It'd be pretty very wildly unexpected. Yeah.
We know we've got to talk to you a little bit about your work and about your family and about some of the food and the places you visited, but could you tell us about yourself a little bit? Making a choice to go up a mountain to fight a fire. I haven't seen any other foreigners in the time that I've been in here, like in the media, doing this.
Sure.
Could you tell us just a little, not
Sure.
about why you chose to go up there, but a little bit about who you are, Frank? What are your
Sure.
hobbies?
Well,
what do you like to do other than fight fires on the
Sure.
mountain?
Well, I don't usually do that one, but yeah. So, I mean, I've always tried to help out whatever community I live in too. Like, I would often know my neighbors, and we would help each other out or grill out during the night, kind of thing. Do miss grilling, but yeah. So I mean, it was always, like when you say, "Oh, you're surprised I view it as a community," it's like, no, it kind of is a community. I mean, it's a bigger community than I'm used to, but that doesn't mean we still, can't be part of that same community. But no, I mean, I think my parents just kind of raised me right. Always tried to help my fellow man or woman or what have you. But yeah, it's just try to put more good out there than bad. I
See,
guess is probably
that's the most precious
what to
thing.
do.
I think no matter where you
Yeah.
are in the world, what people that you're associating with, but I think once people sense that there's goodness in this person's heart, that there's love and care that he's radiating to the world, I think that's when people really make the connection. Race or where you're from, what language you speak, that really don't matter as much. As long as people they
Yeah.
can feel that this is a good person. And that's when they and then that comes 老夫, like names like that,
Sure.
because they feel like, hey, it's like they acknowledge you, or they see the goodness in you and they want to be friends with you. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
老夫.
we are out of time.
sure.
Frank, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
on the
sure,
show.
sure.
Hopefully we will have you back in the future.
Yes, because
That'd be great.
just at the end, I want to say that I'm really interested in your education. First of all, in child psychology. I have a daughter. She's 7, or now 8. So for personal reasons, I would love to know how to deal with kids better, and also your
I'll do what I can.
yeah, and also your
You're going to solve all of Bebe's problems.
well, maybe
Yeah,
just
no,
90%
no
of them.
promises.
And also your PhD degree in, what was it, the name? Curriculum and
Oh,
instruction?
curriculum and instruction.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
did not know that there were such a major or subject. But then I think, okay, somebody got to write the
Oh, sure.
textbooks.
Yeah, it's a branch of education.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think these
yeah.
are interesting topics that, if possible, if time allowed, we can come
Yeah,
back
I'd be
together
happy to. Yeah.
for shows in the future. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lao Fu.
Yeah, join us next time on The Bridge, a
Sure.
show that connects East and West. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much, Bebe.
Thank you, Jason. Bye. Bye, Frank. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. You too.